Hi, and welcome back to the Positive Prepper. So today I want to talk about the first aid for preppers. You have to prepare for every emergency that you can. It's very similar to prepping in general, where we try to prep for all different kinds of SHTF events, right? But when it comes to first aid, I like to think of these in 4 categories: prevention, current health needs such as high blood pressure, diabetes, etc. Short and long-term illnesses like colds, flus, allergies, stomach issues. And then trauma, gunshot wounds, stab wounds, deep cuts like from a chainsaw or what have you. Obviously, unless you're a trained physician, you won't be able to do massive surgery, but you will need to be able to dress wounds, fight infections, and stop the bleeding, right? During an SHTF event, you're not going to be able to rely on medical services. So you will need to be as prepared as you can to survive or to help anyone in your MAG that may require medical attention. Your most likely scenarios in this situation are like wounds from cutting wood, or from bugging out, or worst case scenarios like a gunshot or stab wounds, health issues such as a deadly virus that goes through, or other long-term health issues. So I'm going to talk to you about some of the first aid supplies that we keep on hand that you may want to think about adding to your medical preps. The disclaimer here is that I am not a medical professional. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a nurse. I'm not an EMT. I am only telling you what I have researched and encourage you to do your own research. As I generally always say, do your own research and find out what's best for you. Okay? So a couple of things about medications to be aware of. Powder or pill form medication is much better to store than liquids. If they are kept in a dark, dry, and cool place, they retain their effectiveness for 2 years beyond the expiration date, and they can go beyond 5 years. You just may have to up the amount that you give out. Okay, so higher doses. So outside of your normal first aid things, such as your cough medicines and Band-Aids, I mean, these are just normal things. These are some other things that you might want to consider adding to your preps. Things like burn kits, ACE wraps, and the roll bandages, splints, headache medicine, syringes. And some of these I'm gonna show you because I have some of them sitting right here. So syringes work not just as syringes for giving medication, but if you need to do a deep wound clean, you can use a syringe, right? Your antibiotics, your creams, your sprays, your pills, whatever that may be. Anti-itch cream, sanitary pads or tampons for soaking up blood. Now, tampons are actually a really multi-purpose tool. The stuff that's inside the tampon, and this might make some of you uncomfortable, but this is reality, guys. So if you have a plastic applicator tampon, this can actually be used as a water filter. So you would take out, if I can get it out. Okay, so you take this part out, okay, spread it out. You would actually cut off some of it and put it in the bottom. And you can actually use this as a straw, and it will filter out a lot of the sediment and stuff in the water. Now, this is not going to keep you from bacteria, viruses, that type of thing, but it's a better solution if you don't have anything. Okay? So in addition, obviously, just like with sanitary napkins, the bottom part can be put on a wound for a blood absorber. So, very multi-purpose tool of a tampon. Allergy medicines, peroxide, isolation gowns. Okay, so they're talking about, you know, the virus that's going on in India right now, and they've had hundreds of thousands of deaths over there. Nobody really knows the truth about what's going on over there. But let's say that we had some kind of a virus go through that really was a, you know, like the Black Plague, where it's killing millions of people, right? Isolation gowns. We have isolation goggles. We also have the full-bodied covers. Okay, so if you need to go check on somebody that has been infected, and then we also have the shoe covers. And, you know, like I said, the goggles too, so you are covered from head to toe, so you can go check on these people that might have some, that might need to be checked on if they've gotten this deadly virus. Don't forget to stock up on your personal medications, like your diabetes medications, your blood pressure medicines. Okay. I don't remember what it was, but I think that you can renew your medications every 25 days. And if you do that, by the end of the year, you would have a really good supply of your leftover long-term illness medicines stocked up. So keep your antibiotics, keep your high blood pressure pills that are left over from when you refill your prescription. Keep all of that stuff, because the potency, while it may go down as the time goes on, it's still better than nothing, right? And let me show you just a couple other things that we keep in ours. So we have the survival wraps. Okay, we have cayenne pepper. Cayenne pepper is a bleed stop. It works the same way as a bleed stop. So if you can't afford to order like bleed stop from Amazon or whatever, get some cayenne pepper. When we order this through our kit that we bought, we actually can just say, okay, well, our cayenne pepper's empty, and they will refill it for free. Okay, so look for those kind of deals with spices, because it's a great thing. Some of the other stuff we have the super sponges. So don't just think about like Band-Aids or the 4x4 gauze pads. Think bigger, especially when it comes to those trauma wounds. Okay. We also have, this is basically an antiseptic Clorox bottle. We have boxes of these. They clean medical utensils. They clean your hands. They also clean wounds. We have probe covers. So if the flu or the cold or something starts going through your mag and everybody's getting their temperature checked, right? If you don't have one of those forehead or ear ones, if it's actually the oral or anal ones, especially for children, these are covers that disposable so that you can keep everybody healthy. We also have the face shields, okay? And again, mainly for isolation or for the bad virus or whatever that might come through. We also have the pocket mask. So if we have to do CPR on somebody that we don't know and we don't know what their health issues are, you can do CPR without actually having to have mouth-to-mouth. This protects the person giving the CPR and the person receiving it. We also have a stethoscope and a blood pressure cuff. Okay, providing you have people in your mag that actually know how to use these and know what they're listening for, which we do. And so our emergency medical kit has all of the necessary things in it that we would grab in a medical emergency. But we also have a lot of other medical preps, such as a lot of our Band-Aids, a lot of our other PPEs, our cough medicines. And don't forget the children. Children cannot take adult, or should not take, adult medications, okay, even if you lower the dose on it. So make sure that you're stocking up on the children's medication as well. Okay, and then consider creating your own medicine cabinet from natural resources in your backyard. Look for those natural remedies. And this is something, at some point, probably later this summer, we're actually going to do a video on some of these natural remedies. My husband and my daughter, this is their summer project. They're going to go through and they're going to look at resources that we have on our property, and they're going to process it the way that it should be processed and then store it the way it should be stored, so that we have our own natural medicine cabinet instead of using these man-made synthetic medicines. So now, with all of that being said, it isn't enough just to have these things in your preps. You need to know how to administer them as well. In learning survival skills, make sure that you know more about first aid, even if it's just your basic CPR. The more you know, the more you are equipped to handle the medical emergencies that might come along. In an SHTF event, medical service may not be immediately available, but they may be available at some point. In a Mad Max situation, you cannot rely on medical services at all. You're not going to see an ambulance. You're not going to see EMTs, right? The number one rule, and this is the part I really want you to know, the number one rule in an emergency situation is not to panic. I know, easier said than done, especially if it's a loved one. But you have to train yourself and those around you not to panic, because time is of the essence, especially if it's a traumatic injury. Panic takes away from that time. So it's important to stay calm and think through the situation, which is the second rule. Rule number 2 is assess the situation so that you can understand the severity of the injury and what steps should be taken next. Okay? And then the third rule is to do whatever is necessary at the time to stabilize that injured person. Whatever you can do to make that person comfortable and address their wounds is going to be vital to their survival. Again, you won't be able to do major surgery unless you are trained to do so, obviously. But what you do in those first few minutes, and I believe it's within the first 5 or 10 minutes, is going to make a difference between life or death. Okay? So I would encourage everyone to get some sort of medical training, or at least become very familiar and comfortable with basic first aid. Don't read a book or watch a video on YouTube and think that you can do like a tracheotomy or, safely remove a bullet if it's a gunshot wound. But you can have medical books, actual physical books on hand to use as a reference. For example, childbirth, if somebody is pregnant, that you take into your mag, or that you just let in to help. Do you know how to birth a baby? Okay. Have these books on hand. Have these resources. In an SHTF, especially a Mad Max type, medical service might not be available, but some of these rules in that type of situation are probably going to go out the window. And you may want to or have to do more than what you feel comfortable in order to save someone's life. But that's why it's really important to have somebody in your MAG group or somebody that you can, you know, if you join forces with another MAG group and they have somebody that has that extended medical training, that's going to be a huge asset for you. So try to find somebody or get the training yourself on how to do basic first aid and then maybe even a little bit beyond that. I think, and this, again, all of this is just my personal opinion. Do your own research. Do what's right for you. But I believe that most people in these situations, especially in like medical emergencies, are going to be able to do what needs to be done because a lot of it is common sense, right? But if you have the medical resources and you at least have that basic knowledge, you're going to have the confidence to take the necessary steps to help that injured person. So I hope this video on basic medical first aid for your preps has helped you at least kind of get an overview of what you should be looking for as far as your medical first aid supplies. If you have any questions or comments about this, please leave them below. And hopefully this helped. Thanks for watching The Positive Prepper. God bless.